Hello everyone, this is Rashid Khan and you are watching Innovative English Learning. You can also watch this video in Urdu from the playlist. Today we are going to talk about another very important and basic topic of English language, that is tense. Yes, in this video we'll talk about all the 12 tenses in English in just 15 minutes. Here we'll summarize all the basic structures of English tenses like positive structures, negative structures, yes-no questions and WH questions in this lecture, so that will help you in understanding and remembering these structures. Let's see how to make these structures in different tenses. Okay, so first of all we have simple tenses. We have three simple or indefinite tenses like present simple tense, past simple tense and future simple tense. Now, how to make positive sentences in these three tenses? In present simple tense, we have subject. Subject may be singular or plural. So if the subject is plural, then we only add first form of the verb and then the object. For example, we take 4 classes daily. We is the subject, take first form, 4 classes is the object. But if the subject is singular, he, she, it or a singular noun, then we add s or es with the first form of the verb, like he plays cricket in evening. Similarly, in past simple tense, we have subject. Subject may be singular or plural, and we add only second form of the verb with both singular and plural subjects and then the object. For example, we took 4 classes today. He played cricket in evening. In future simple tense, we have subject. It is followed by apostrophe double L, or we may use will plus first form of the verb and then object. For example, we'll take 4 classes tomorrow, or he'll play cricket after the class. Now next we have negative sentences or negative structure. So for negative sentences, here in present simple tense, if the subject is plural, then we add do and then not, then first form of verb and then object. For example, we do not take 4 classes daily. But if the subject is singular, then we add does and not, then first form and then object. For example, he does not play cricket in evening. In past simple tense, we bring subject, then did not, and then first form of the verb and then object with all the subjects. Here we convert the second form into first form because we introduce did, and did is already second form, so we cannot repeat second form twice. That is why we convert the main verb into first form, like we did not take 4 classes or he did not play cricket. In future simple tense, we make negative sentences by introducing will not or won't, that is the short form. So subject, won't, first form and object. For example, we won't take 4 classes tomorrow, or he won't play cricket after the class. For making yes-no questions in present simple tense, we bring do or does to the start of the sentence. As for the subject, if the subject is plural, then do, and if the subject is singular, then does, then subject, then first form of the verb, and then object, and finally question mark. For example, do you take 4 classes daily? Yes, I do, or no, I don't. Does he play cricket in evening? Yes, he does. No, he doesn't. In past simple tense, we bring did, the helping verb, to the start of the sentence, then subject, then first form of verb, then object, and question mark at the end of the sentence. For example, did you take 4 classes yesterday? Yes, I did. Did he play cricket with you? No, he didn't. In future simple tense, we bring will to the start of the sentence, then subject, then first form of verb, and then object, and finally question mark. For example, will you take 4 classes tomorrow? Yes, I will. Will he play cricket after the class? No, he won't. For making WH questions, we introduce WH words like what, where, when, how, why, etc. Then the helping verb do or does as per the subject, then subject, first form of verb, and finally question mark. For example, what do you do in spare time? Or where does he live? Where does he work? Etc. In past simple tense, we bring WH words followed by helping verb did, then subject, then first form of verb, and finally question mark. For example, what did you do yesterday? When did he come back? For making WH questions in future simple tense, we bring helping WH words, then will, then subject, then first form of verb, and then question mark. For example, why will you leave the class? or when will he return. So that is how we make these four structures and these tenses simple. Next we have continuous tenses. So again we have three continuous tenses: present continuous, past continuous, and future continuous. Now for affirmative or positive sentences and present continuous tense, we have three helping verbs. So subject followed by is, am, and are. Is used with singular subjects, am with I only, and are with plural subjects. Then ing form or present participle, then object. For example, Ali is playing cricket. Ali is singular, that is why it's followed by is, then ing form, and then cricket. I am teaching you tenses. You are learning English. For past continuous, we have two helping verbs, was and were. Was with singular and were with plural. So subject, was and were, then ing form, and then object. For example, the boys are playing cricket. I was studying then. For future continuous, we introduce subject followed by apostrophe double L or will, then be, then ing form, and then object. For example, we'll be sleeping by 10 o'clock. He'll be writing his homework. For making negative sentences, we introduce not after helping verbs. So here we have subject, then the helping verbs is, am, or are, then not, then ing form, and then object. For example, Ali is not playing cricket. I'm not teaching you voices. Similarly, in past continuous, we have subject, then was and were, and then not, then ing form, and then object. For example, the boys were not playing cricket. I was not studying then. For future continuous, we have subject, then won't or will not, be, ing form, and object. For example, he won't be sleeping by 10 o'clock, or he will not be writing his homework. Now for making yes-no questions, we bring the helping verbs to the start of the sentence. Here in present continuous, we bring is, am, are to the start of the sentence, then subject, then ing form, and then object. For example, is he coming? Yes, he is. Are you listening to me? Yes, we are, or no, we aren't. For past continuous, we bring was and were to the start of the sentence, then subject, then ing form, and then object, and finally question mark. For example, were they sleeping? Yes, they were, or no, they were not. Was he studying? Yes, he was, or no, he wasn't. For future continuous, we bring will to the start of the sentence, then subject, then be, then ing form, and object, and finally question mark. For example, will he be doing BS in 2024? Will they be playing cricket tomorrow? Yes, they will, or no, they won't. For making WH question, we introduce WH words like where, when, how, etc. Then the helping verb is MR here in present continuous, then the subject, and then ing form, and finally question mark. For example, where is he living? Why are you crying? What are they doing? For past continuous, we introduce WH words, then was or were according to the subject, then ing form, and finally question mark. For example, where were they playing cricket? What was he writing in his book? So that is how we make WH questions in past continuous. In future continuous, we introduce WH words followed by will, then subject, then be, and then ing form, and finally question mark. For example, where will they be living now? Or what will she be cooking? Etc. Next, we have perfect tenses. So we have three perfect tenses: present perfect, past perfect, and future perfect. Now, how to make positive sentences in present perfect tense? So here we have subject, then has and have. Remember, has is used with singular subjects while have is used with plural. Then third form or past participle, or then object. For example, I have taught you tenses. Ali has learnt all the tenses. In past perfect, we have subject and only one helping verb, that is had, then third form, then object. For example, I had done Emmet before TEFL. Ali had studied tenses before voices. In future perfect tense, we have subject, then will or apostrophe double L, then have, third form or past participle, and finally object. For example, I'll have completed tenses till next month. He'll have returned by tomorrow. So that is how we make positive sentences in these three perfect tenses. For making negative sentences and present perfect tense, we introduce not after has and have, and the rest of the structure is followed. For example, I have not discussed voices yet. They have not arrived So for she has not cooked the meal. In past perfect tense, we bring subject, then had, then not, then third form, and then object. For example, I had not done MA before TEFL. Ali had not studied tenses before voices. In future perfect tense, we introduce subject, then won't or will not, then have, third form, and finally object. For example, we won't have finished tenses till 2024, or he won't have returned till tomorrow. For making yes no questions, we bring the helping verbs to the start of the sentence, then subject, then third form, then object. So in present perfect tense, we bring has or have to the start of the sentence, and finally question mark, and the rest of the structure is followed similarly. For example, have you done your homework? Yes, I have. Has he given you the book? Yes, he has, or no, he has not. In past perfect tense, we bring had to the start of the sentence, then subject, third form, object, and finally question mark. For example, had he done MA before TEFL? Yes, he had, or no, he had not. Had she told you the story before? No, she had not, or yes, she had. In future for perfect tense, we bring will to the start of the sentence, then subject, then have, then third form, then object, and finally question mark. For example, will you have done your homework till tomorrow? Yes, I'll have. No, I'll not have. Will he have returned by December? Yes, he'll have. For making WH questions, we introduce WH words, then the helping verbs here in present perfect tense has and have, subject, third form, and finally question mark. For example, what have you cooked today? Or where has Ali gone? Okay. In past perfect tense, we introduce WH words, then had, then subject, then third form, and finally question mark. For example, what had you studied in intermediate? Or where had he studied BS? In future perfect tense, we have WH words, then will, then subject, have, third form, and finally question mark. For example, what will you have studied by tomorrow? So that is how we make these structures in perfect tense. Next we have perfect continuous tenses. So again we have three perfect continuous tenses: present perfect continuous, past perfect continuous, and future perfect continuous tenses. Now let's see how to make positive sentences in these tenses. So in present perfect continuous, we have subject, and then we have two helping verbs, has and have. Again, has is used with singular and have is used with plural. And then been, then ing form, and then object. For example, I have been teaching English for 2 years. David has been watching my video since 2021. So here we introduce two prepositions for time, that is for and since. So remember, for is used for changeable time, while since is used for unchangeable time, that we have discussed in tenses in detail when we were discussing them separately. Now in past perfect continuous tense, we have subject, then had, then been, ing form, and object. For example, I'd been studying at university for 2 years. David had been living with me since 2010. Now future perfect continuous, we have subject, then will or apostrophe double L, have been, ing form, and object. For example, I'll have been teaching you for a year. They will have been studying with you since 2026. For making negative sentences, we introduce not after helping verb. For example, in present perfect continuous, we have subject, then has or have, then not, then been, then ing form, then object. For example, I have not been teaching English for 2 years. In past perfect continuous tense, we have subject, then had, then not, been, ing form, and object. For example, I had not been studying at university for 2 years. For future perfect continuous tense, we have subject, won't or will not, have, been, ing form, and object. For example, I won't have been teaching you for a year. Now, how to make yes no questions? So remember, for yes no questions, we bring the helping verbs to the start of the sentence. Now in present perfect continuous, we bring has and have to the start of the sentence, then subject, then been, ing form, object and question mark. For example, have you been waiting here for 2 years or 2 hours? Yes, we have been. Has it been raining since morning? In past perfect continuous, we bring had to the start of the sentence, then subject, then been, then ing form, then object, and finally question mark. For example, had it been raining since yesterday? Or had you been living there since 2010? For future perfect continuous, we bring will to the start of the sentence, then subject, then have, then been, ing form, object, and question mark. For example, will you have been watching my channel for 1 year? Now, how to make WH questions? So for making WH questions in present perfect continuous, we introduce WH words, then has and have according to the subject, then subject, been, ing form, object, and question mark. For example, what have you been doing since 2010? Or where has he been living for 2 years? For past perfect continuous tenses, we introduce WH words, then had, then subject, then been, then ing form, and finally question mark. For example, what have you been studying since 2010? Or what had you been studying since 2010? It's mistakenly written have, rather had. So what had you been studying since 2010? For future perfect continuous, we introduce WH words, then will, subject, have, been, ing form, and finally question mark. For example, what will you have been doing since 2026? So that is how we make these 4 structures: positive, negative, yes no questions, and WH questions, and perfect continuous tenses. Hope this lecture will help you in understanding the basic structures in all the 12 tenses in English language. Thank you for watching Innovative English Learning. Do share it with your friends. Thank you. Take care of yourselves.